Next up is a little bit of comic relief from the one and only Kathy Buckley. Kathy is a motivational speaker, comedian, actor, advocate, and author. That's right, she does it all and makes me feel incredibly lazy. No, it's not hard to make me feel lazy, but yeah, she does make me feel incredibly lazy, all of the things that she does, and the life that she's led. Kathy, in her talks, turns tragedies and her own personal life experiences into hilarious lessons and messages of hope. And I think it's really great, especially considering we've all been in lockdown. Kathy's obviously from the US. They've obviously been in lockdown as well. So I think it's nice to have a little bit of comic relief. We've all been used to Zoom, for example. Just a little bit on Kathy. Kathy was in second grade when she was diagnosed with hearing loss. And that was the cause of her challenges with speech development. Kathy has been pronounced dead once, beat cancer twice, and hung up on me 3 times. And she's one of my favorite people in the world. I absolutely love talking to her. She always puts a smile on my face, and she's only agreed to be here today as long as I promise to stop calling her. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I will pass over to the wonderful and hilarious Kathy Buckley.
Yay me! Yay me! I want Dr. Shay to use my head as a guinea pig. I want to have my memory back. I can't find my car keys. What is this man? I need him now. Yes, it's true. I am hearing impaired. No, I am not deaf. I just don't listen. Get a load of this. I paid $4,000 for my hearing devices, and I'm thinking for another $1,000, I could have had that boob job. Not like I'm going to hear through my chest. What? Has anybody here ever been to Texas? Oh my God, I've been to Texas. I worked there for 3 weeks, and those people have got the slowest moving lips I have ever read in my life. I don't know how anybody can get laid in that town. Guy came up to me, he said, my name is Bill. Bill? Yeah. How the heck did you get 5 syllables out of 4 letters? When I was born RH negative. And then a couple years later, I developed spinal meningitis. Doctors told my family, quote, that I would be a slow learner and that I would not grow to be any taller than 5'2". I am 6 foot tall. And I was in the school for the mentally slow for 2.5 years before they found out it was just a hearing loss. And they called me slow. In that school, my best friend was a little Asian girl. She was blind. I have no concept of blindness means because my eyes are my life. But every day we would have lunch together. She'd have these great barbecue beef sandwiches, and I'd have these boring peanut butter and jelly. So every day we would exchange lunch. Now, what I didn't realize until I got older, she never saw me exchange those lunches. And again, I never heard her complain about it either. Now, some people think that my hearing impairment is a handicap. Me, whenever I'm with the Italian side of my family, we are talking a perfect gift here. Can you imagine a hearing impaired child who is just learning how to read lips and to be with a bunch of Italians whose mouths are going 80 miles an hour? And their hands. Heaven only knows what their hands were saying. I myself was just learning sign language. I figured, well, maybe they're signing with a lisp. One of the first signs that I did learn as a child was good morning. And I got to tell you, as a kid, I was so excited that I could communicate that the very next family reunion, I went up to everybody and I signed, good morning. I guess you can say they're not morning people. Now, lip reading is my main source of communication. And I do have to go up to people sometime and say, excuse me, but I do lip read. And I usually get this, oh, I'm so sorry. I got a degree in dentistry and I'm lip reading cavities back here. Did you ever lip read your grandpa when he takes his teeth out? It's like lip reading a little butthole.
That's amazing.
And I spent a good 13 years with some of the top speech therapists in this country, United States, just learning how to talk so people would understand me. And now they all think I'm from New York. My hearing impairment is not my handicap. Being sexually frustrated. Now there's a handicap. I've not had a date in 3.5 years. I don't know if it's because I haven't heard the phone ring or what. But I too like to hear what my date says to me at night, but I can't hear in the dark. I wear a little miner's cap with a bright white light right here.
Yeah.
Tell me you love me. Come on, put your lips in the light. Say it. I love you. One of my favorite things that I love is when a man kisses me on the neck. Oh yeah. Works his way up to my ear, sticks his tongue in my ear and gets electrocuted. Then I wonder why the phone isn't ringing, right? It is crazy times. Has anybody done dating online? Anybody done dating online?
Yeah,
No, I'm the only idiot. Okay,
Yeah.
Colin has done dating online. Colin, you are in trouble. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know if it's because I'm older now or what, but I actually had a guy write me back. I hope this isn't out of sync for you guys, but I had a guy write me back and he said, look, let's just skip the date, get some alcohol, get some sex toys and go to a hotel. Can you believe that? I go, what an idiot. I have a house.
Oh, dear.
You never know what you're gonna get into, I swear. My girlfriend wanted to fix me up with a boy, a guy. He was a little Irish guy. He was 5'5" and round. I am 6 foot tall. Together, we look like a number 10.
That's amazing. Oh,
I tell
dear.
you, life is crazy. You just don't never know what's happening. But one of the things that I do love about my life is the fact that God has let me meet some of the most extraordinary people in the past. I'm sure none of you have been to Chattanooga, Tennessee, have you? Good.
No.
Don't go there. Don't go there. No, seriously. I'm still amazed at the racism that goes on in this country. I was at a hotel called the Tutu. That in itself should have sent me home. The hotel clerk hit the bell for my bellhop to come and get my bags. My bellhop was a skinny, little black man, 70-something years old. He walked the speed of a turtle. He comes up to the desk. He looks up at me because he's so short, bless his heart. And he looked up at me and says, ma'am, my name is John and my job is to get you bags to your room. I looked at John and I said, John, honey, my bags are bigger than you. I said, it's okay, John, I'll take my own bag, sweetheart. He says, no, ma'am, it's my job to get you bags to your room. I said, John, sweetheart, by the time you get my bags to my room, my plane's gonna take off again. He goes, no, ma'am, I get them there by Thursday. Now, I didn't feel right about this gentleman taking my bag. But then again, who am I to take a job away from him? Probably the very thing that's keeping him going, right? But I still didn't feel right about it. So I told him, I said, you know what, John? I got wheels on my bags. I can take my own bags, sweetheart. He goes, no, ma'am, it's my job. I go, I know. It's your job to get my bags to my room. So I grabbed my bag with one hand, stuck John under my armpit, and we walked out the lobby. I fell in love with John. He was this beautiful old soul. And every time I go down to the lobby, I see John. Hi, John. How you doing, John? I'm grabbing him. I'm hugging him. I'm kissing him all over his face. He's like, get this white woman off of me. On the third day, John looks at me square in the eye and he goes, ma'am, do you know I was black? Okay, John, when did this happen? I go, does it hurt? You know what he said? Sometimes. He goes, what about you, ma'am? I go, what do you mean, me? He said, being deaf and all. He goes, does it hurt? Yeah, John. Sometimes, honey. He says, ma'am, you can't be kissing on me like that down here. People are going to be talking at you. I go, that's okay, John. I'm deaf. I ain't going to hear a darn thing they say. All anybody ever wants out of life is to be treated with respect. But in order to be treated with respect, you have to be able to give it. And in order to give it, you have to have it for yourself first and foremost. Otherwise, you don't have the gift to share. It's that simple. That is life. Now, you guys want to hear some good news?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, give it to me. I don't have any good news.
All right.
Well, where the heck is it? Good news is they did come out with hearing devices for my particular hearing loss. And when they did, I was so excited. One of the first sounds that I did hear were the birds. And I tell you, I cried like a baby. I was walking down the street, I looked up into the tree, and I just saw this little bird chirping away. And I gotta say, birds are difficult to lip read. They've got these tiny little beaks. When I was a kid, we used to go camping all the time, and everybody would piss and moan and groan all about the crickets. They make too much noise. I never heard them. But when I heard my first cricket, I was so excited that I went looking all over for it so I could lip read its little mouth, you know? And I got the tail end of it, its little legs rubbing together. I couldn't believe it. One of the most difficult sounds for me is I have a difficult time locating where sounds are coming from.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard myself pass gas. I answered the phone. But you want to hear the truth about that?
Go on.
You want to hear the truth about it? I didn't know what the sound was. I was living all alone in my apartment. I thought the cockroaches make noise. Before you know it, I was in the kitchen doing the dishes and I heard this little and I'm looking for this cockroach. Couldn't find it. Before you know it, they were following me into the bedroom. My girlfriend Jackie came to the house. I said, Jackie, do cockroaches make noise? She goes, if you step on them, they crunch. Nah, I don't think I stepped on that many. Later that night, we went to a party. I heard the sound again. There was a gentleman standing next to me. I was so excited. I hit the guy and I said, did you hear that? He said, excuse me. I thought he didn't hear me. I said, did you hear that sound? He said, I said, excuse me. And I thought, oh my God, maybe he's deaf. Leave it to me to sign to a hearing person asking if he heard something. This is why I'm not dating. I keep getting into all these crazy things in my life. I just don't know what's going on. But one of my most favorite sounds to this day, and it makes me cry every time I think of it. There's something about an infant laughing, especially when I didn't tell it a joke. But there's just something about that laughter. It comes from the soul and up and out. And it's just one of the most beautiful sounds in the world. I was in school for retardation for several years before they found out I was deaf. I was 8 years old when they found out I was deaf. 8 years is a long time to go without language. Without language, you cannot connect. You don't understand love. But more importantly, you don't have a voice to protect yourself. When they found out I was deaf, they took me out of that school and they put me in another school that I prayed at a high heaven that every child meets a teacher like my Miss Joan Daly. Miss Joan Daly taught me how to talk. No, we haven't found a teacher to teach me how to shut up. Miss Joan Daly taught me how to talk through a balloon. She'd take a balloon, blow it up, tie it in a knot, and place it right here in her throat and chest. I would put my hand on the balloon and I could feel the vibration of her voice. And then I try to imitate it by feeling my own. She would say apple. Ah, a bell. Not even close, Kathy. Apple. No. Why, bye. No, long, you sure? Because your apple's wrong and my apple's right. I like apples. Let's do Nana, and then we would fight. Sometimes we work on one word for 2 weeks until I feel the vibration articulated just like her. I often wondered if she was from New York. I was in her class with one other student, Michael. Michael and I both have the same hearing loss. She used to tell us, whoever does their very best at the end of the week, I'm gonna take you out for hamburgers, french fries, and a milkshake. Well, you better believe Michael and I, we were busting lips. And did you know that every Friday, both Michael and I were having hamburgers, french fries, and a milkshake, looking at each other going, I did better than you. What are you doing here? She didn't want one to be better than the other. She just wanted us to give the best that we had to give. She was amazing. She worked on our speech with marbles, popsicle stick, candles, balloons, anything she could find, she would work on it with us. She was amazing. She was my first person I made a connection with. I adored this woman. I didn't have a connection with my family. I hated the weekends, couldn't wait for Monday morning. I would run into the classroom, drop my coat off onto the floor, run up to Miss Joan Daly, and I'd tell her everything that happened that weekend in my best speech possible. I was spitting on this lady. And never once did that beautiful human being ever have a question mark on her face. She had a smile on her face, and her eyes were always sparkling. She was so proud of me that I was willing to learn how to talk. She was amazing. I adored her. But then one day, the authorities came in and they said, put this on her. And they put this big harness thing on me. And with a battery pack up on my chest. In fact, that was the last time I had something on my chest. But I had this big battery pack on my chest and the wires going to my ears. And it was loud and painful. And when you're deaf, you can't explain to a deaf child who has little language why they have to wear it. You see, you can see somebody's legs missing or their arms are missing, but you can't see sounds missing. So when they put this thing on me, I thought I was being punished. And I just fell into this deep hole. It was loud and they made me wear it and it hurt. But I never knew what I did wrong that I had to wear that. Then the authorities came in again and they said, you know what? She's learning to talk. She's got a hearing device, send her off to public school. I had no business being in public school. I stole money, candy, food. I did. I would steal things from my mom's house, sometimes my neighbors. I don't have Miss Joan Daly to lip read anymore. I don't have somebody who'd like me anymore. I'm in a public school. I'm the only kid in the school wearing this device, not knowing what's going on. I had no idea. In 5th grade, my mom saw how I kept fighting with this thing, that she saw a boy who needed hearing devices, so she gave him mine. But in my naive mind, I thought I was no longer being punished. I never understood my hearing loss. It was never discussed. It was just give her this, give her that, blah, blah. And so what happened? Now I'm in school. I don't know anything that's going on. The teachers have her back to us. I can't see her lips. The kids' lips are moving in the classroom. I don't know what's going on. I graduated from high school with a 1-point average. By the time I finished school, I've tried committing suicide 5 different times. Hearing loss is not, it's an invisible challenge. It's an isolating challenge. It's a scary time in someone's life. And as people get older, they lose their hearing and they start withdrawing from society. Having a hearing loss is different for everybody. There's such a range to hearing loss. I have a program here in LA. It's called No Limits for Deaf Children. And these are the kids for low-income families. These families would never be able to have the services provided for them if they didn't have no limit. It costs a lot of money to learn how to talk. Anywhere from $75 to $150, $200 an hour for speech and language therapy. It is hard work to come into the hearing world. It is challenging, but I tell you one thing, I wouldn't change a thing in my life. I never thought I would be talking in front of hearing people to the point where they actually understand what I'm saying. You do understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No, totally.
But it's a challenge to be in the hearing world. And the hard part about hearing so well, about speaking so well, people assume because you speak so well, you hear well. And it's not true. I learned how to speak through vibrations. I learned how to speak with candles, marbles, popsicle sticks. Today, they have technology with computers that you can watch a monkey go up a tree to see if your voice is raising up. Things have changed over the years and it's been fabulous. The technology is amazing. Cochlear implant, holy crap. It's almost impossible for a deaf person not to have spoken language if they're willing to work for it. But you gotta get them when they're young. And if you get the cochlear implants when they're young, they basically will not have a deaf voice at all. And when I talk about a deaf voice, I'm talking like my speech impediment. You can tell that I have a nasal sound. And that nasal sound is from having a hearing loss and learning how to speak through vibration. But most people, if they get a cochlear implant when they're young, they won't have that deaf voice. They won't drag their words to the point where you may not understand what they're saying. So easy to go back to who I once was. Life is a gift. It is such a blessing. There are so many stories I would share with you that are pretty funny, like going on an airplane. I never forget going on the plane. They always say, oh, you're deaf, we're here. Here to give me the instruction for the airplane in Braille for the blinds. I don't know if I'm supposed to poke those little dots in just to mess up the next blind person that comes on a plane. He'll never know where the exit is for safety. You know, I mean, people just don't get it. They over enunciate. They assume because you wear hearing device, you're deaf. And there's a thing in my culture here, I don't know if it's in England, but there's a thing called big D and little d. Do you have that in England? Big D is ASL signing only. Little d is deaf voice and deaf speaking language. So there's a big conflict between the two. And ASL is a culture, but my kids are in the middle. So it's always been black and white, deaf or hearing. And now they're deaf speak, and they're in the middle, the gray area. My job is to bring color to the middle. I want everybody to have an equal opportunity as an education. I have a 3rd grade reading level. I missed out on my education. I struggled too much to find out what was going on around me. So life is really basically good. I don't know if you guys have this. Do you have that alarm that vibrates the pillow? You know, you push in the time if you want to. People always ask me, how do you wake up in the morning? I said, we have a special alarm. You put in the time you wake up, you put it underneath your pillow, and it'll vibrate the pillow. I strap that thing on my inner thighs. And I'm hitting that snooze button, honey. Every 8 minutes. I may not get anywhere on time, but when I get there, I'm smiling. Life is good. It's precious. Oh my God. Do we have any questions for me? Can we play? I have to understand things.
Kathy, I do. So first off, you mentioned, so we've had some amazing positive feedback from your talk. Like obviously, like I said, you're one of my favorite people in the world. Like I love just talking with you on the phone because you always crack me up. We've had a couple of questions, mainly around. I know. I promise I'll stop calling you now. The main things around. So first off, you mentioned your charity. I don't know if you wanted to briefly go over that, maybe the URL and stuff, so that people can can go to it and get involved in some way. That would be fantastic for you to talk about first, and then I have another question after as well that you might want to mention.
Well, you know what's interesting? We had people come out from Japan. There's a surgeon here at UCLA who does all cochlear implants. So he came and visited our program, and he was amazed. He never thought about having therapy for the kids after they get the cochlear implant, which blew me away, because getting a cochlear implant is not like getting a pair of glasses and you put them on and it's like, wow, I can see. And like Dr. Shea was saying, you know, you put these sounds in this little head, the brain has not been awakened and it needs to be stimulated by sounds, and you have to teach. And it's almost like, for me, I was 8 years old when they found out I had a hearing loss. That means part of my brain was atrophied from not being used to use sound. That means that I was behind because I didn't understand. And when I got the right hearing aids, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I never got the proper hearing aids till I was 34 years old.
Wow.
That's a long time to wait.
Yeah, it is.
Be a part of society and be able to hear and comprehend what's going on around me. And even though I have the right hearing aid, it took me even longer to train myself to learn how to receive and to when to speak, all of that. It's just a big journey. So at my school, we teach people. We teach the kids speech and language. Michelle, my partner at the school, she's big on education, big on college. I'm not. I never went to finish school, let alone go to college. But she's big on that. So we're the #1 place, the after-school program, that have 100% rate that all of our kids have graduated from high school and gone on to college. You could see this is a proud mama right here. When I see these kids score beyond me, it's amazing. I'm big on self-confidence and self-esteem. I'm big on giving these kids a sense of humor. I think it's important for them to be able to laugh at themselves, laugh with themselves, so that when people come around, they can explain their situation, because you can't see what we can't hear. And I'll never know what I'm missing, because I still know I'm not getting everything, but I'm still getting something. You know what I mean? And I get to be a part of this world, whether they like it or not.
Is there a website that people can go to? Because
nolimit.org. Hey, wait a minute, is that on here? I wear all my clothes for my kids.
So it's nolimits.org, did you say?
Yeah, No Limits for Deaf Children.org.
nolimitsfordeafchildren.org.
Yeah, we work with the whole family. The parents have to come every Saturday for 4-hour classes to learn how to do IEPs. They have to learn how to be advocates. We also opened up a room for the siblings, because we work with low-income families. So they take 2 or 3 buses and they have to bring the whole family. So now we opened up a room with computers and tutors for the siblings, because we want to see these low-income families succeed in life. Let's break the generation of low income and move them forward.
And then a couple other questions that I'll quickly ask before you lovers and leavers. I was wondering if do you have, obviously at the moment with coronavirus and stuff, that it's a little bit difficult, but I was wondering if you were doing, do you have any events that you're planning on doing in the UK? Like, are you coming over to do gigs and stuff? Because I know that there'd be a huge amount of people that would be seriously interested, ourselves, within that. Do you have plans to come over to the UK to do gigs or anything like that? Or is that something that might be further down in the pipeline?
As long as you're living there, I'm not coming.
Well, you can come and stay with me. Oh no, actually, you might want to. I just moved house yesterday, so you can.
I have no plans right now. I mean, I don't know if you guys realize this, but this past year with everybody wearing a mask has been one of the hardest years of my life. I literally fell back into my childhood. I stayed in my house. I totally forgot about that people were wearing masks out there. And then when they came to get the vaccine, I had to go get the vaccine, and I saw everybody with a mask on. I turned into a 5-year-old little girl. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what we were supposed to do. And I got really nervous because people were pointing this way and that way, but I couldn't hear anything. And there were 3 lines, and I was hoping to God I didn't get in the wrong line. Like if I end up in a penis enlargement line, I'm screwed, you know. And so they asked questions. They would ask these questions, and they would, I said, could you please, anybody on staff can remove their mask so I could lip read them. Well, this cute little Latino girl comes up, and she has this chubby little face, and she says, hi, my name is Jay. And I'm going, Jad? No, Jay. Jade? No, Jay. I go, apparently my lip reading's off today. I don't know what's going on. And she goes, no, it's just the letter J. I go, how long was your mother in labor for that she only threw a letter at you? And then she was the cutest, and she helped me through the whole thing. I never realized how important lip reading is for me until everybody started wearing the mask. So all I now see is eyebrows jumping up and down. But if they have Botox, I'm screwed.
Well, as you can see, I'm filled with Botox. That's why I have such an attractive appearance. I was voted the most attractive at Caption the other day. Yeah, I just beat out Rich, so that's fine. The other question. The last question as well, which I'll ask you, Kathy, if you don't mind, is how did you get into comedy? Just a brief sort of like idea of how you went from, obviously, like we know about your past with your physical injuries, but then also with your hearing loss. What made you go into comedy and want to make people laugh? And because we've all seen today, and we've had some fantastic feedback that just, you do bring a smile to people's faces. Is that what it was?
No, I knew nothing about comedy. It was there. I knew nothing about comedy. I never understood comedy. I still don't get comedy because a lot of it is play on words. And what it was is I was on disability from a Jeep accident when I was a paraplegic. And so I was living on welfare here in the state, $100 a month. And that was to pay for my rent and my food. So I got a job. I went to vocational rehab. So people who help people with disabilities get a job. And I got my license in massage therapy. And I worked for a medical and chiropractor firm. And I found that laughter was my best medicine in helping people relax so I can work on their bodies, because the muscles are weak at that point, and I can really help them. Where 3 of my clients came to me with this paper article that said, stand-up comic, take a stand. It was to help raise money for children with cerebral palsy. I love kids. And I have a thing that if something comes to me 3 times, that's why I'm here, because Edward stopped me 3 times. And but when something comes to me 3 times, I believe that I'm being guided. So I had to do this comedy contest to help raise money for the kids. What ended up happening was deaf humor and hearing humor is very different. It was very different. So I didn't get it at all. So for 2 weeks, I was studying comedy. And so I was trying to find a way to share some of my stories. And all I was doing was help raise money for the kids. So I went on stage in front of 250 people. I couldn't hear the laughter. I play off people's faces. And if I saw a face I didn't like, I'd move on to another face. And I ended up winning that night. It was the hard part. The worst part was when I got off the stage, people would come up to me and they said, "Oh my God, you killed." I go, "Oh, who?" I didn't understand the slang. They go, "You brought the house down. I didn't touch anything." And I was I go, "This is a very violent career." And so I got really nervous. But what ended up happening is I won that night. And then they had to go to semifinals, which I didn't know what meant. I ended up placing 4th out of 80 comedians who were in the business for 3 to 10 years. And I was only pushing around with it for 2 weeks. So there's an old saying, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. My focus was the kids, and I ended up with a career. So I never expected this in my life. It wasn't planned.
Well, Kathy, I tell you what, like, yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely incredible having you today. The amount of love and support that's been put in the chat is just incredible. And like from speaking to you for the first time, yeah, you blew me away. You're just, yeah, easily one of my favorite people. You always make me laugh, whether you're doing comedy or just like joking around with me. Yeah, I absolutely love talking to you. Thank you so much for being involved today, because honestly, it's been a real pleasure to have you.